Lisa Martinez sat in the corner of the big meeting room. She was quiet while everyone else was talking loudly around her. The room was on a huge space station called Nexus Prime. This station was bigger than any city on Earth. It floated in space. Between the stars, the meeting room was full of aliens from many different worlds. They all looked very different from humans. Some were tall, like trees. Others had shiny skin that looked like crystal. Some had 4 arms instead of 2. A few had scales like snakes. They were all part of something called the Galactic Defense. Council Lisa was only 32 years old. She was the youngest human who had ever been allowed to join these important meetings, but nobody seemed to care that she was there. They acted like she was invisible. The aliens were arguing about a big problem. There was an enemy called the Vorthan Empire. The Vorthans were winning wars against everyone. They had already taken over 47 different star systems. Each star system had many planets with billions of people living on them. Now all those people had to follow Vorthon rules. General Vexfer was one of the loudest aliens in the room. He had 4 arms and green skin. His voice was deep and scary. He pointed one of his arms at the humans in the room. "Humans are weak," he said with anger in his voice. "Look at them. Their bodies break easily. They get sick and die young. Their spaceships are slow and old. They should just carry supplies for us. They should not fight in real battles." Lisa felt her face get hot with anger. But she did not say anything. She had learned that getting angry in these meetings did not help. The aliens would just say that humans were too emotional to think clearly. "Captain." Duh. Ryan Burke was sitting next to Lisa. He was her friend and her boss. He started to stand up to argue with General Vexfer. Vexfer put her hand on his arm to stop him. She shook her head slowly. Ryan sat back down, but his face was red with anger. Admiral Kafthar was another alien who did not like humans. He looked like a dragon that could walk on 2 legs. His skin was covered in dark blue scales. His eyes were yellow and mean. The Vorthons have better weapons than anyone, Admiral Kafthar said. Their ships can travel faster than light, can destroy a whole planet with 1 shot. What can humans do against that? Throw rocks at them? Some of the other aliens laughed. Lisa felt her hands turn into fists under the table, but she kept her face calm and quiet. The truth was that the Vorthans were winning because they were very smart about fighting wars. They did not just have better weapons. They also had better plans. Every time they attacked a new star system, they won very quickly.
Most planets gave up without even trying to fight.
Lisa had been studying the Vorthons for many months. She read every report about their battles. She watched videos of their attacks. She studied maps of where they went and how they moved their ships. While the other aliens were talking about building bigger guns, Lisa was trying to understand how the Vorthans thought. The meeting kept going for hours. The aliens talked about building new warships. They talked about making stronger weapons. They talked about finding more soldiers to fight. But nobody talked about being smarter than the enemy. Finally, the meeting was over. Admiral Kafthar stood up and looked at the humans in the room. His yellow eyes were cold and unfriendly. "The humans will help with medical work and moving supplies," he said. "They will stay far away from any real fighting. We cannot risk having weak allies slow us down in battle." Lisa nodded her head like she agreed. But inside her mind, she was already making different plans. She had found something in her studies that nobody else had seen. The Vorthans had a weakness. It was hidden very well, but it was there. After the meeting, Lisa walked back to her small room on the space station. The hallways were long and curved. Because the station was round like a wheel, through the windows she could see stars everywhere. Some of them were very far away. Some of them were close enough to light up the space around the station. Her room was not very big. It had a bed, a desk, and a small bathroom. But it also had something very important. It had a computer that could show her information about anything in the galaxy. Lisa sat down at her desk and turned on the computer. The screen lit up with bright colors. She started pulling up all the files she had been collecting about the Vorthans. Soon her small room was filled with pictures and maps that seemed to float in the air around her. She had battle reports from 47 different star systems. She had videos of Vorthon ships attacking planets. She had maps showing how their fleets moved through space. Most importantly, she had recordings of how they talked to each other during battles. Lisa looked at all this information for a long time. She was looking for a pattern. She was looking for something that all the battles had in common. Something that might show her how to beat an enemy that seemed impossible to defeat. Then she found it. In every single battle, the Vorthons did the same thing. They moved their ships in perfect order. Every ship knew exactly where every other ship was going. They talked to each other constantly during battles. It never made mistakes, because they all worked together like parts of one big machine. Lisa leaned back in her chair and smiled for the first time in days. She finally understood why the Vorthons always won. But more importantly, she understood how they could lose. The other aliens thought the Vorthons were strong because they had better weapons and faster ships. Lisa realized that the Vorthons were strong because they were perfectly organized. Every ship followed orders exactly. Every pilot did exactly what they were told to do. They won battles because they never made mistakes. But Lisa knew something about making mistakes that the aliens did not understand. Sometimes mistakes were not bad things. Sometimes mistakes could help you win. She started typing on her computer, making notes about her ideas. She was going to need help from other humans to make her plan work. But she thought it might be possible to beat the Vorthons without building better weapons or faster ships. She was going to beat them by being human. Lisa worked all night long in her small room. She did not sleep at all. Floating pictures and maps around her showed everything she had learned about the Vorthons. Her eyes were red and tired, but her mind was very awake. At 6 a.m, someone knocked on her door. Lisa looked up from her computer. She had been working for so long that she forgot other people existed. "Come in," she said. The door opened and Amy Chen walked into the room. Amy was Lisa's best friend on the space station. She was also a lieutenant in the human space force. Amy had short black hair and kind eyes. She was carrying 2 cups of hot coffee. Amy looked around the room and saw all the floating pictures. Her mouth opened in surprise. "Lisa, what is all this?" Amy asked. She handed 1 cup of coffee to Lisa. "Have you been awake all night again?" Lisa took the coffee and drank. Some of it was hot and bitter, but it made her feel more awake. "I think I found something," Lisa said. She pointed at one of the floating maps. "Look at this battle from 3 months ago. Then look at this one from last week. Do you see anything the same?" Amy looked at the 2 maps for a long time. Both maps showed Vorthon ships attacking different planets. The ships moved in curved lines across space. They attacked from many directions at once. "They both look like the Vorthons won very quickly," Amy said. "Yes, but look closer," Lisa said. She touched the computer and the maps got bigger. "Look at how their ships move. Look at the order they attack in." Amy studied the maps more carefully. Slowly her eyes got wider. "The patterns are exactly the same," Amy said with surprise. "Even though these battles happened on different planets, the Vorthons moved their ships in exactly the same way." "That's right," Lisa said. She was getting excited now. "Every single battle I have studied shows the same thing. The Vorthons have one way of fighting, and they use it every time." There was another knock on the door. This time it was Jake Morrison. Jake was a communications expert. He was tall and thin with red hair, worked on the machines that let spaceships talk to each other across the galaxy. "Amy told me you were working on something important," Jake said as he came into the room. He looked around at all the floating pictures. "This looks like the inside of a Vorthon computer." "That's exactly what it is," Lisa said. "Well, sort of. I've been trying to understand how the Vorthons think." Jake picked up one of the battle reports and read it. His face got more serious as he read. "Lisa, these reports say the Vorthons can talk to all their ships at the same time," Jake said. "Their communication system is faster than anything we have. That's how they can move all their ships together so perfectly." "I know," Lisa said. "That's their strength. But what if it's also their weakness?" Amy and Jake looked at each other, then back at Lisa. "I don't understand," Amy said. Lisa stood up and walked to the middle of the room. She pointed at different floating pictures as she talked. "Every species that has fought the Vorthons tried to build better weapons," she said. "They tried to make their ships faster. They tried to get more soldiers. But nobody tried to attack their communication system." Jake nodded slowly. "That makes sense. If you can't talk to your ships, you can't coordinate them." But their communication system is protected by quantum encryption, Amy said. That means it's impossible to break into. Lisa smiled. You're right. We can't break into their system.
What?
But what if we don't need to break into it? What if we just need to confuse it? She touched her computer again. A new picture appeared in the air. It showed the inside of a Vorthan ship with all its communication equipment. Jake, you know more about communications than anyone, Lisa said. Is it possible to send fake messages that look real? Jake thought for a moment. You mean like pretending? To be someone else on the radio? Exactly, Lisa said. Well, yes, Jake said slowly. If you know the right frequencies and codes, you can make a message that looks like it came from somewhere else. But the Vorthons use very advanced encryption. It would be almost impossible to copy their codes. What if we didn't need to copy their codes exactly? Lisa asked. What if we just needed to send messages that were close enough to confuse them? Amy was starting to understand. You want to send fake orders to their ships? Not exactly, Lisa said. Want to send so many fake orders that their real orders get lost in the noise. Imagine if every Vorthan ship was getting hundreds of different commands at the same time. Turn left, turn right, speed up, slow down, attack, retreat, all at the same time. Jake's eyes lit up. That would create complete chaos. Their perfect coordination would fall apart. And once their coordination falls apart, they become just another fleet of spaceships, Lisa said. Spaceships that humans know how to fight. Amy sat down on Lisa's bed. She looked amazed and worried at the same time. Lisa, this plan is crazy, she said, but it might actually work. The only problem is that we would need a lot of small ships to broadcast all these fake messages. And we would need to get close to the Vorthon fleet without them seeing us. I've been thinking about that too, Lisa said. She showed them another floating picture. This one was a map of the Kepler system, where the next big battle was supposed to happen. The Kepler system has a huge asteroid field, Lisa said. Thousands of big rocks floating in space. Perfect places to hide small ships. Jake was getting excited now. You could put broadcasting equipment on our supply ships.
Our ones.
The aliens are too weak to fight. We could hide them in the asteroids and activate them when the Vorthan fleet arrives. But how do we get permission to do this? Amy asked. The Galactic Defense Council told us to stay away from the fighting.
Elisa
grinned. We don't ask for permission. Tell them we're just doing our assigned job of moving supplies. We just don't mention that some of our supplies include very special communication equipment. Amy and Jake looked at each other. Then they both started smiling. When do we start? Jake asked. Lisa looked at her computer screen. It showed that the Vorthon fleet was 3 days away from the Kepler system. Right now, she said. We have 3 days to save the galaxy. Lisa and her team worked very fast for the next 3 days. They had to be careful not to let the aliens know what they were really doing. Captain Ryan Burke helped them get permission to take their supply ships to the Kepler system early. We're just moving medical supplies and food to the battle zone, Lisa told the Galactic Defense Council. Our ships are slow, so we need extra time to get there. Admiral Kefter looked at her with his mean yellow eyes. Make sure you stay far away from the fighting, human. We don't want you getting in our way. Lisa nodded and smiled politely. Of course, Admiral. We'll stay hidden in the asteroid field where it's safe. What she didn't tell him was that the asteroid field was exactly where she wanted to be. Jake worked day and night to build special communication devices. These devices could copy the frequency that Vorthan ships use to talk to each other. The devices were small enough to fit inside supply boxes, but powerful enough to send signals across space. Amy helped coordinate with other human pilots. She found 20 brave volunteers who were willing to fly their small supply ships into danger. Each pilot would hide their ship behind a different asteroid. Each ship would carry Jake's special communication devices. Lisa spent her time studying more battle reports. She learned exactly how Vorthon commanders gave orders to their ships. She wrote hundreds of fake commands that sounded real, but would confuse the enemy. Some commands told ships to turn left and right at the same time. Others told them to attack targets that didn't exist. The most confusing ones told ships to retreat while also telling them to advance. On the morning of the third day, Lisa's team was ready. 20 small human ships left Nexus Prime carrying supplies. The aliens watched them go and felt happy that the weak humans would be safely hidden during the battle. The Kepler system was beautiful and dangerous. The star in the center was bright yellow like Earth's sun. Around it floated millions of asteroids. Of all different sizes, some were as small as cars. Others were as big as cities. They had been floating in space for billions of years, slowly spinning and tumbling. Lisa's ship was called the Courage. It was small and old, but it was fast enough to dodge between asteroids. Amy was her pilot and Jake sat in the back with his communication equipment. "There's a good hiding spot," Amy said, pointing at a large asteroid that looked like a potato. "We can hide behind it and still have a clear view of where the Vorthons will arrive." The Courage slipped behind the asteroid and turned off most of its lights. Around them, 19 other human ships did the same thing. They spread out through the asteroid field like seeds scattered by the wind. Lisa looked at her watch. The Vorthon fleet would arrive in 2 hours. The main Allied fleet would arrive 1 hour after that. The aliens were planning to meet the Vorthons in open space and fight them with big guns and strong shields. "Jake, test your equipment one more time," Lisa said. Jake turned on his machines. Green lights blinked across his control panel. "Everything is working perfectly. I can hear the Allied fleet talking to each other from here. When the Vorthons arrive, I'll be able to copy their frequency." Amy was looking through the ship's telescope. "I can see the edge of the asteroid field from here. When the Vorthons come, they'll pass right through our communication range." Lisa felt nervous and excited at the same time. Her plan was crazy, but it might be the only way to beat an enemy that had never lost a battle. She thought about all the planets that the Vorthons had conquered, all the people who had been forced to live under Vorthon rule. If her plan worked, those people might be free again. 2 hours later, Jake's equipment started beeping. "I'm getting signals," he said with excitement. The Vorthon fleet just arrived at the edge of the system. Lisa looked through the telescope and saw them. The Vorthon ships were beautiful and terrifying. They were long and smooth like silver fish. The biggest ship was enormous, bigger than any human city. Around it flew dozens of smaller ships in perfect formation. "They're moving exactly like I predicted," Lisa said. "Jake, can you hear their communications?" Jake listened to his headphones and nodded. "Yes, I can hear everything. Their commanders are giving orders to move into battle position. They sound very calm and confident." "They should be confident," Amy said. "Look at those ships. They're amazing." Lisa watched the Vorthon fleet move through space. Every ship knew exactly where to go. They moved together like a flock of birds, turning and shifting as one group. It was the most perfect military formation she had ever seen. An hour later, the Allied fleet arrived. Lisa could see the big alien warships moving to meet the Vorthons. General Vexver's command ship was leading the attack. Admiral Kefther's dragon-shaped warship flew beside it. "The battle is starting," Amy said. Through the telescope, Lisa watched the two fleets face each other across empty space. Allied ships were big and powerful, but they looked clumsy compared to the graceful Vorthon formation. The first shots were fired. Bright beams of energy flashed between the two fleets. The Allied ships tried to hit the Vorthons, but the enemy ships moved too quickly and smoothly. Their perfect coordination let them dodge most attacks while hitting back with deadly accuracy. "It's time," Lisa said. Her heart was beating very fast. "Jake, activate your equipment." "All ships, this is Lisa. Begin the confusion protocol." Jake's fingers flew across his control panel. His machines started sending fake Vorthon commands on the enemy's communication frequency. Around the asteroid field, 19 other human ships began doing the same thing. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The Vorthon ships continued their perfect formation. Their commanders continued giving clear orders. But then Jake smiled. "It's working. I can hear confusion in their voices. They're getting our fake commands mixed up with their real ones." Lisa watched through the telescope as the first signs of chaos appeared in the Vorthon fleet. One ship turned left when it should have turned right. Another ship slowed down when the rest were speeding up. "More power, Jake," Lisa said. "Send more fake commands." The confusion spread through the Vorthon fleet like a disease. Ships began bumping into each other. Formations that had been perfect for thousands of years began falling apart. Commanders shouted contradictory orders while their pilots tried to follow commands that made no sense. "We did it," Amy whispered. "We actually did it. It's the perfect Vorthon." War Machine was breaking down, and the real battle was just beginning. The chaos in the Vorthon fleet grew worse every minute. Lisa watched through her telescope as their perfect formation completely fell apart. Ships that had moved together like dancers now crashed into each other. Some Vorthon vessels were spinning out of control. Others were firing their weapons at empty space because they received orders to attack targets that did not exist. "Jake, keep sending those fake commands," Lisa said. "Don't let them reorganize." Jake was sweating as he worked at his machines. "I'm sending everything we planned. It's commands to turn left and right at the same time. Orders to attack their own ships. Instructions to retreat and advance together. The communication system is completely jammed with nonsense." Through her headphones, Amy could hear the Allied fleet commanders talking to each other. General Dexfer sounded amazed and confused. "What is happening to the Vorthon fleet?" His voice crackled over the radio. "They appear to be attacking themselves."
"Admiral?"
Kepther's voice was full of surprise. "This is impossible. The Vorthons never make mistakes. Their coordination is perfect." Lisa smiled as she listened to the aliens. They still did not understand what was really happening. They thought the Vorthons were having technical problems. They had no idea that 20 small human ships were winning the battle with fake radio messages. But Lisa knew her plan was only half finished. Confusing the Vorthons was good, but it would not win the war. She needed to do something more. "Amy, take us out of hiding," Lisa said. "It's time for the second part of our plan." "Are you sure?" Amy asked. "Once we leave this asteroid, the Vorthons will be able to see us." "That's exactly what I want," Lisa said. Amy started the engines and the Courage flew out from behind its hiding place. Lisa picked up her radio and called the other human ships. "All pilots, this is Lisa. Phase 2 begins now. Remember your training. Stay close to the asteroids and use them as shields. Make the Vorthons chase you into the rocks." The 19 other human supply ships left their hiding places too. They were small and fast compared to the big Vorthon warships, but they were also much weaker. One direct hit from a Vorthon weapon would destroy them completely. Lisa's plan was dangerous but simple. The confused Vorthon ships were drifting toward the asteroid field. She wanted to lead them deeper into the rocks where their big ships would have trouble moving. "There," Amy said, pointing at a group of Vorthon ships that were flying without any coordination. "Those ships don't know where they're supposed to go." Lisa nodded. "Fly right in front of them. Make them angry enough to chase us." Amy piloted the Courage directly across the path of 3 Vorthon ships. The enemy vessels immediately turned to follow them. But instead of moving together in perfect formation, each ship went a different direction. Their commanders were all receiving different fake orders from Jake's equipment. The chase began. The Courage flew between asteroids with Amy's expert piloting. The Vorthon ships followed, but they kept crashing into rocks because they were not used to flying without perfect coordination around the asteroid field. The same thing was happening with all 20 human ships. Each small vessel led confused Vorthon ships deeper into the dangerous rocks. The enemy's powerful weapons could not hit targets that kept hiding behind asteroids. "This is incredible," Jake said as he watched his scanner. "The Vorthon fleet is completely scattered. Half their ships are stuck in the asteroid field. The other half don't know what to do because they can't talk to their commanders." Lisa looked through her telescope at the main battle. The Allied fleet was finally winning. Without the Vorthon's perfect coordination, the alien warships could match them in combat. General Vexer's ships were pushing forward. Admiral Kefthar's dragon vessels were attacking the confused enemy. But the biggest Vorthon ship, their command vessel, was still dangerous. It was trying to escape the asteroid field and reorganize the scattered fleet. "Amy, can you get us close to that big ship?" Lisa asked. Amy looked at the massive Vorthon vessel through their window. It was easily 100 times bigger than their little supply ship. "Lisa, that thing could destroy us with one shot," Amy said. "Not if they can't target us properly," Lisa replied. "Jay, focus all your fake commands on that ship. Make their targeting computers as confused as everything else. Jake redirected his equipment toward the command ship. Within minutes, the huge vessel began firing its weapons in random directions. The fake commands were telling its computers to aim at targets that kept changing. The Courage flew around the command ship like a tiny insect buzzing around a giant. Every time the Vorthon vessel tried to shoot them, its weapons pointed the wrong way because of Jake's confusing signals. Other human ships joined the attack on the command vessel. 20 small supply ships surrounded the massive enemy warship. They could not destroy it with their weak weapons, but they kept it so confused that it could not help the rest of the Vorthon fleet. The battle was almost over. Most of the Vorthon ships were either destroyed or trapped in the asteroid field. Their perfect war machine had been defeated by human creativity and 20 old supply ships. All Vorthon vessels, this is Admiral Vexhai, a voice said over the radio. Lisa was surprised that she could understand the words. The Vorthon commander was speaking in the common galactic language. We surrender to the Allied forces, the voice continued. We request immediate ceasefire. Had not encountered such unusual tactics before. Lisa felt her whole body relax. They had won. Her crazy plan had actually worked. Captain Ryan Burke's voice came over the radio from the main Allied fleet. All human vessels returned to formation. Outstanding work out there. As the Courage flew back toward the Allied fleet, Lisa could see the alien commanders on her scanner. They were all talking to each other with excited voices. They could not believe that the mighty Vorthon Empire had been defeated by human supply ships. 3 hours later, Lisa stood in the same meeting room where the aliens had called humans weak. But now everything was different. General Vexfer looked at her with respect instead of anger. Admiral Kefther's CLO eyes showed amazement instead of cruelty. Commander Martinez, General Vexfer said slowly, we owe you a great apology. I did not understand what humans could accomplish. We called you weak because your bodies are fragile and your technology is simple. Admiral Kefthar added. But we were wrong. Your minds are your greatest weapon. Lisa stood up straight and looked around the room at all the alien faces. We are not the strongest species in the galaxy, she said. We are not the fastest or the most advanced. But we are very good at solving problems in ways that nobody expects. Sometimes the best way to win a battle is not to be stronger than your enemy. Sometimes you just need to be smarter. The room was completely quiet as the aliens thought about her words. What happens now? General Dexfer asked. Lisa smiled. Now we teach the Vorthons that joining our alliance is better than fighting against human creativity. 6 months later, the Vorthon Empire signed a peace treaty and asked for human advisors to help them learn new ways of thinking. Lisa Martinez had not only ended a war, but had also shown the galaxy that being underestimated could be the greatest advantage of all.